Endarki Namaskaram. So since a long time, everyone have been asking me the same question, like why I'm not running, why suddenly I stopped running, what happened with me. So if singular person or a small group of people ask you this question, you can respond them individually. But if thousands of people ask you same question, then very difficult and very challenging to respond them individually. It may be through social media or the personal contact. So I thought I will record a video and post it on my Instagram. So let me tell you, like in the month of June, I guess, my favorite place at Hyderabad, ECIL. So there is one ECIL ground, and I'm a part of the ECIL learners group. So whenever I get a time, maybe in morning or evening, so I go to the ECL ground and do my practices, whatever it may be, cardio, my running practices, or my yoga practices. So one of my friend who is a football coach, and he's training the kids at that same place voluntarily. So he asked me to help to for stretching session for their kids. So I helped them. So post that stretching session, I was stretching myself. I was doing my stretching practice. So one of the kid, I'm calling him kid because he was in the 7th standard, and he's almost 65 to 70 kg weight. So when I was stretching, his intention was not bad, but he was trying to push me. So he pushed me from my back when I was sitting on the ground and tried to touch my forehead. So he lost his balance and he fell down on me from backside. So forcefully my forehead got touched to the ground and hamstring got stretched. So some little sound came out of hamstring that something is broken, but I did not realize that time, and I did not take any rest. I keep on continuing my not running practices, but of course riding practices. I did my 80 kilometers, 100 kilometers for a month and more than a month. So you know what, when you're especially a long distance runner, so that time you're so habituated to torture your body that the small kind of impacts or small kind of injuries will not affect you easily. If that's prolonged for a long time, then you will realize, oh, there is something wrong. So after 1.5 months, I feel like that pain is still not going. So I thought, let's consult to physio. That physio is one of our running team only. So I went to him, and we did MRI as well in order to check if there is any muscle tear or the hamstring breakdown. So we found like there is nothing. It's just a minor injury. I need to take a rest. So I have taken enough rest. I was just simply walking only or riding a cycle for small distances. So still pain was there. So that may be because I work for the corporate organization where I have to sit for 8 to 9 hours. So I am simply on the rest mode. But I must say, for any sport person, so as for the marathon runner, being away from the sport which you love most, and it leads to sometimes nervousness or depression. But that I did not allow to happen with me. Whenever I get injured or whenever I am not able to run, maybe because of any reason, so I keep indulge myself, involve myself into the different sort of activities which I love most and which I keep on ignoring because of my running practices. So I thought, since I have enough amount of time, so I started to involve myself into the more into spiritual activities and meditation, that you say. Even to perform the meditation and the spiritual practices, you need to have enough amount of stability in your body, because you need to sit on a singular place for a long time and to concentrate on your breathing. And if there is a pain in your body, of course your conscious mind will take you there, and in order not to get affect the small pain, you need to have certain mastery over your spiritual practice. But I'm not a pro spiritual practitioner, so it will take time for me, but I'm trying to do best which I can do. And one more thing, before coming to Hyderabad and starting the doing the long distance marathon running, one of my most favorite hobby and the thing which I love to do most is reading the novels. Especially when I was at my hometown Maharashtra, that time I used to read Marathi and the Hindi classic novels. So after coming to Hyderabad, I stopped it little bit, because I was keep exploring the you know running activities, and then I did not find much time, and I left that hobby long back. So I started reading the books again. uh, so I'm reading the few of the books. I'll tell you. This is called one book, Hints for the Self Culture, written by author Lala Hardayal. So this book is all about, you have the every one of us have our reason of interest, and we like to explore that reason only. We keep limited to that reason. But the author is saying, even we are interested into this few of the area to explore, but we need to have the little bit knowledge about the every aspect of this world and our life. So this is what his book is all about. I'm not even saying, or even author did not claim that this book covers entire all important topics and the reasons of world, but yes, all possible things have covered. And another book which I am reading is this Anokha Sapar. This is the Hindi autobiography, you can say. One of the person, now you can say the monk who traveled from USA to India in order to grow in the spiritual path, and about his journey, how he become the Western kid to one of the spiritual monk, and it is autobiography. Now he's the part of the ISKCON organization or ISKCON temple. Everyone knows about him, and he called as the Radhana Swami, the very famous public speaker now and spiritual monk. You must read this book. Third book I am reading is, so I am not reading I have one bad habit that I am not reading one complete book in one stretch. I'll read 4 to 5 books in a parallel. So third book, The Death and Insight Story. The very famous author now is a very famous public speaker even in India, and spiritual guru, Sadhguru. Everyone knows him, I guess. So this book is all about the post-death ritual that we in Hindu culture in India we do follow. So it's about how much importance we are giving to the birth. We need to give the same importance to the death as well, and so called that spiritual practices, that why we do that rituals, post-death rituals in India. There will be multiple rituals, and what is the scientific reasons behind it. And this is not limited up to there. This book is beyond that. But to understand this book, we need to have a lot of clarity on spiritual things. And I'm not a pro spiritual practitioner as well. I'm just a practitioner now. It will take a lot more time to understand for me. And one last book which I'm reading in parallel to these 3 books is the next one, the most beautiful book I ever found. This also you can call kind of the autobiography as well as the historical book, The Man's Search for Meaning, written by the Viktor Franklin. This book is about the Auschwitz concentration camp, that the post World War II, how the German government, or you can say the Hitler especially, he created the concentration camp for the Jewish people, and he pushed them, all Jewish people, into the concentration camp, and what kind of suffering that these people went through. And this book is not about the torture they face or the kind of suffering they went through, but how the author Viktor Franklin managed to survive into that situation, what kind of the mindset he kept there, and the many people died but he managed to survive. This book is all about, and this is the incident that Auschwitz concentration camp is, we can say, one of the black spot on world history. So these are the 4 books I am reading. So I am keeping myself engaged into the spiritual practices, bit of the yoga practices, and reading the novels and the books. So I will definitely come back to the running, because running is something which I love most. And sometimes why people are saying after running they are not so happy, or they are not feeling so good. So I did little research on it. So I found there is something called a runner's high. So you people might aware about the word called high. When someone boosts or someone do the drugs, they gets a high, means they will getting a certain kinds of hallucination, means that is something in your imaginary world only, but that happens. Same happens in the running, in running or any sort of the sport. But since I'm the marathon runner, so I experience this in my running. So when I run more than 10 kilometers at 4:15 to 4:30 pace, 4:30 to 4:15 minute per kilometer, that time, I feel certain kind of good kind of feeling, and dopamine releasing in my mind. Dopamine also called as a good feel hormones. So that time you will feel like you are into the different world, and this is the best moment that you can live with. So that feeling you always wanted to stay with. So that is the runner's high, I call. So of course every runner must experience that. And now I have decided, once I feel mentally and physically fit and completely recovered, so I'll come back to my running activities, which I love most, and I'll join back the running community. Till that time, I'm on the rest mode and I'm enjoying my different stuff, which I explained to you in briefly. And I must wish you all the best for your upcoming events, and for Hyderabad runners, the very upcoming event called Airtel Hyderabad Marathon. Wish you all the best for getting your personal best there, and keep running and keep inspiring. Thank you. Namaskaram.